We see a square of dark chocolate as a healthy treat, but most of us still fear eating too much fruit due to the glycemic index. Make it make sense.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. That's the problem. So, here's the thing is like science has really like debunked the glycemic index as a thing that most people need to worry about. It's not even necessarily a very helpful way for diabetics to choose foods. In part, like that was sort of first it was replaced by the glycemic load, which is a measurement of glycemic index, like corrected for how much carbohydrates are in that food. So, for example, watermelon has a high glycemic index, but a low glycemic load. So, yes, the sugar enters your bloodstream quickly, but it doesn't have that much sugar, right? So, glycemic index, how quickly does the sugar get into our blood? Glycemic load, correcting for how much sugar there is in the first place. But studies over the last few years have shown that the, like, individual response to different, like, foods is highly variable. So one person might have a higher blood sugar response to a banana, and then the next person might have a higher glycemic response to cookies, right? So this person had lower glycemic response to the cookies and the banana, and this person had the opposite, which means that there's so much individual variability that we can't rely on this number. Like the representing the food doesn't make as much sense as representing the individual. And the only tools that we have for understanding the individual is like measuring blood sugar levels, but like also there's no benefit to wearing a continuous glucose monitor, right? Like a normal rise in blood sugar after a meal is totally fine, whether it's higher or lower from the cookies or bananas, as long as it's within the normal range. We don't need to worry about that. The only people who need to worry about that are people with insulin resistance and like high levels of blood sugar, right? So those are people for whom understanding, do I, as a type 2 diabetic, have a higher glycemic response to the banana or to the cookies? Like, I will experiment on that for myself, but, the rest of us, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a higher glycemic response to the banana cookies, as long as it's all within the normal range, then you're good. You don't need to know that data. So, yeah, being afraid of fruit as, like, nature's candy when fruit unequivocally, improves long-term health outcomes. There are some health outcomes for which fruit actually has a bigger benefit than vegetables or whole grains or even like total fiber. Like fruit is really beneficial for us, especially for things like diverticular disease, but also like metabolic health. And we are healthier when we consume fruit in moderation than when we consume no fruit. Like that's just what the data shows. So yeah, getting over this idea, this like scary, oh, glycemic index, high glycemic index bad, getting over that fear would be a great step away from toxic diet culture.